The Crash Course Live is presented by
Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of Maymania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com.
Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York. And now your host, Chris Marquardt.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to this edition of the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast. Excited to have you along for the ride tonight. Brian is off. He's got some football stuff to tend to, and he's also, I believe, working a double. So we're not going to be seeing Brian tonight, but we are excited to be back in the studio at the behest of friends like Brian, Cody Koch, just the list goes on. James McLean, a number of them suggested that maybe it'd be worth it to take a week off just to collect everything from the news of Ed Brewster's passing. It's the first time that we're back in the studio since then. Ed is, if you've listened to the show at all, you know Ed passed away 2 weeks ago tonight, around 10 o'clock after he watched the episode of the show, and it ended up being one of the busiest weeks that I've had, just with everything just kind of piling on, a lot of stuff to do, and it ended up being a challenging weekend for some of the online derby stuff that we were involved with. And a lot of the guys that I was talking to through the course of the weekend just said maybe it's worth it to slow down a little bit, and we did. And Saturday was Ed's birthday, and had the chance to work on one of the coolest projects that I've done in a while. It was an online event with Realistic Derby Project celebrating the 1 year anniversary of their streaming entity on their page, and they put together an event, and it was just absolute chaos. Those guys were driving exceptionally hard. There was none of that big show pace that you thought about, and some of the guys that were involved with that, almost all the guys that were involved with that, from both within the RDP server and outside of it, took their winnings and donated it back and kicked this stuff along to help cover the issues that we had with the roof. My heart is very full with this. I thank you. I explained to them, just like I said to James Logston, Christy Germain, we've talked, and a disputed claim is still going to be a paid claim with our homeowners insurance. So they are picking up the extra stuff. We're going to be okay, but the generosity would not be slowed by the word no thank you or we're okay. The gentlemen there, those guys, Jesse, Derek Creetlow, Hollywood, the guys from Big Dog, all of them, Jesse Myers, Cody Koch, they all banded together, and James McLean and all the guys from over at the Gladiator Pit, they banded together and kicked a lot of stuff back, and I can't say thank you enough. It means the world. It is incredibly helpful. It is going to go to use. Thank you. It means a lot. I can't say thank you enough, and thank you doesn't do it justice, but thank you. And it came at a great time. Today when I was going into school, I was thinking about Ed and his birthday over the course of the weekend and being back in the studio, and there's a cardinal sitting on top of the school just singing his lungs out, which was cool to see. And then on the way over tonight to the studio, I followed in a police interceptor on the trailer as Frank Van Houten's pre-run derby car was coming the opposite way, turning up towards Tim Ellison's house. And then there was a slab-sided Lincoln and a Lincoln Continental, and then a fresh car that was built on the side of the road that I haven't seen. I mean, I travel up and down that road pretty frequently. And it was quite a bit of derby traffic, or future derby cars, if you will, which pairs nicely with where we're headed tonight. The demise and the death of Derby, the epitaph has been written time and time again, and it continues to resurrect and return and come back, and all these other great things that we've been able to talk about over the last 10 years or so. Even though Derby's been dying and it was over, still comes back, and Dustin Woods, here he is with Triple D. with some absolutely amazing news. Welcome to the show once again. Hopefully you can hear me okay.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks, Chris.
Awesome. Well, I want to kind of give you the floor for the moment to share some news because for as many times as we've been told that Demolition Derby is done, dead, and over with, it continues to rise from the ashes, and it appears that the many resurrections and iterations and swings and big shows have caught the eye of some important players.
Yeah, certainly. I think before we came on air here, we were talking about how close, things were, and I know a lot of people talk about how close we are to national recognition. With the announcement on our page at 6 o'clock, we announced a partnership with JEGS High Performance, and obviously taking things to the next level, and we are very, very excited about that.
Well, that is some excellent news for sure. Tell me a little bit more about how this whole thing came together and how we got to this point.
Well, first I want to talk about how this is not just a Triple D thing. This is not just a King of Ohio deal. This is really about all of Demolition Derby, and everyone can benefit, from this type of relationship and this type of partnership. So we're going to be the first to reach out, and no longer, I guess, will we be selling this preposterous idea of organizing the sport. I think it'll be a little bit more legitimized, and I've been posting that word a lot. But we're going to reach out to other promoters and parts vendors, you guys, all kinds of different people, and hopefully we can all collectively come together under one umbrella or at least one vision and go one direction.
I mean, how exciting is this? This is a corporate level deal. It's not exactly just the Napa around the corner or the Advanced Auto Parts bumper stickers and hats that you get at the county fair. This is a little bit higher up the food chain to make these connections. How challenging was it to put this together?
Well, it's been something that we've been working on for a long time. I would say the deal was done several months ago in terms of like a handshake deal. Then you just got to work out everything, all the back end stuff. So, I mean, it's something I've been working on for 6-8 months, knowing that I think like we're going to make it happen. It was just when can we announce it, right? And it was getting close to the King of Ohio. Obviously, we want to get it announced before then because they're going to be there. J3 will be there doing the trophy presentations. There's going to be JEGs everywhere. I mean, this is going to really turn into like a nationally recognized sport, just what you see at an NHRA race.
Well, there's a fantastic video that is now live, correct?
Yes, now live.
On the Triple D page. You got to go there, look up the Triple D page. It's the King of Ohio crown is the logo. If you're not already following, jump on there. Once we get off the air and I can navigate away from the Zoom meeting, I'll get that stuff posted in the comments below so that you can find your easy path to this stuff. There's an awesome video that's been posted, filmed in the NHRA shop.
Yeah, so these guys got to get on and watch that video. We posted it. It's amazing. I mean, we filmed there for 5-6 hours, put together a nice presentation. You got J3 talking to the Derby world. That's Jeg Coughlin III. That's a third generation owner there of JEGS High Performance. And it's really neat because part of what we talked about with this deal was it needed to be authentic. And that didn't just come from my side. That came from their side. And I think the Derby world's going to see that. Like, these guys are really, really bought into what we're doing in our sport in general, and it's authentic. It's authentic, and it's just so neat to see that. I think that will definitely come through in the video.
And this is, you're talking about Jeg Coughlin III, his It was his dad, Jake Coughlin Jr., that really started putting the pro stock game on the map, and now those guys have branched into the various other forms of drag racing that you can see on the NHRA platforms. They field a top fuel car at this point, right?
I believe so. Yep.
And I can't remember who's driving that now, but I mean I certainly remember the name Jegs. It's something that the black and yellow logos are burned in your mind from. If you're familiar at all with NHRA racing, you certainly know who Jegs is, and they've been around other different forms of motorsports. And as we're talking about this, I'm reminded back of how big of a deal it was when we saw the Derby car show up on the cover of Speedway Motorsports. And it turned into a big thing, and it sputtered. It didn't get the traction that you thought that it would. And then you started talking about all of the different manufacturers that are in the sport right now that are independent. They had their parts borrowed, their designs, when things started showing up with like Demo Derby Masters and as part of the Kaiser Manufacturing program. You're talking about authenticity and things. How deep is authenticity going to go when you start looking at the big picture of Demolition Derby? As great as this is for sponsorship and as great as this is for the sport and everything like that, in order to get the sport to not cannibalize itself again, that authenticity is such a huge part of it. Are we going to see parts from Derby people potentially showing up in Jegs catalogs that are going around the country?
I think you're going to, and actually, I definitely believe you will. I mean, that's what Jegs does. I mean, Jegs is a distributor for, manufacturers, across the United States. So, I mean, that's what they do. So it wouldn't be nothing to add some of those parts. I mean, we've been in conversations about that and the authenticity. So it's really, really neat. To be able to talk to the current parts vendors out there. We've already talked to a couple, and we'll see how it goes. We'll see where it goes.
I just think this is so cool. This is such a good thing for the sport as a whole. I think this is my fingers are really crossed that this is the domino. This is the domino that falls that changes everything. And I'm grateful that you were able to put the years and years of business school and marketing and everything that you've got behind you. You're popping your eyes. I'm sure this was all part of your master plan for a global takeover when you started Triple D and went through all of the marketing stuff at school, right?
Well, it's not a master takeover. Okay? So. That's not phrased that.
Oh well, I know. I can see where that would sound bad. That's
we
not
don't.
What I meant.
It's not a master takeover. Honestly, what it is just to organize the sport. We can't do it alone. It's going to take a ton of us to work together under one single vision. I can tell you that part of the conversation with Jegs and trying to secure these sponsorships was. There was a lot of things that need to be put in place that weren't in place in the Derby world.
Sure.
And, like part of the conversation we had was, well, who's your champion? And, Chris, answer that. Who is the champion?
Who is the champion? If you look at the Unified Point Series, you would say it. If you just look at that, but that's all the different promoters, and then you've got 448's got a point series, and Domination has a point series, and yeah,
exactly.
I guess
right. So the NHRA and any sport out there has one single champion. Okay.
Right.
So we had to organize that first, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then we had to have some answers, and whether this was on Jeg's side or just my personal side, I wanted answers before I started Triple D. To the lack of competition of running against each other, meaning that the best of the best never run against each other. I wanted answers to sandbagging and teaming. So in the past, and I've discussed this a lot, and I've discussed this on my podcast, the answers that promoters have had in the past to teaming and sandbagging were to throw you out, okay? And from a customer standpoint, like we're in business here. I'm not about to spend 6-8 months traveling all across Ohio and beyond to build relationships with our, potential customers, drivers, right? And then have one of my guys make a subjective decision and throw them out. Okay, so we had to solve that problem. And then we had to solve the invested interest from the fans. So how do we create an invested interest from the fans?
Right.
Well, how you do that is you highlight the entertainment that already happens on the track. So that's what we created in the format. So all of this goes hand in hand leading up to this JEG's decision or, JEG's partnership. If those things all weren't in place and I couldn't lay that out for them, there wouldn't be a partnership. There would just be like, well, you guys need to get organized, this and that. And then, then where would we be? Mm-hmm. Because then we'd be back at ground zero. You've got to have all of that, the format, the King of Ohio, the county fair qualifiers leading to the King of Ohio, signifying a regional event to crown a true champion of each class. And then, you're going to have 6 kings of each class. I mean, you're the best of the front wheel drive. You're the best rear wheel drive stock car. You're the best compact mod. You're the best truck driver. And then that's in the state of Ohio, right? And if you don't have all that, I'm telling you, these people aren't going to even listen to you. If you can't even get that together, these corporate sponsors, they don't talk to you.
So, did they have, what kind of awareness did the folks over there have of Demolition Derby, aside of trying to lay things out like that, knowing on your end what you had to do and the questions that they were going to be asking? What did you end up telling them in terms of a national championship, and did they have an awareness of it?
They were aware of it, but I think it really, when we brought the raffle car there, as everybody's going to see in the video, the raffle car has spent some time next to the NHRA cars. As we brought it there, they were amazed at the craftsmanship and the detail that go into one of those cars.
Right.
Because, I think the stigma of Demolition Derby at the county fair level, knocking the windows out, certainly there's that, right? Mm-hmm. But what I sold to them and talked to them about was the skill that it takes to build these cars, right? And then we got to show them with the raffle car. And by the way, the raffle car is going to be like JEG's, a JEG's raffle car, which is going to be really neat. It's going to have a bunch of different products from Limitless Fab to Ski Inc. to Last Second Motorsports. Mm-hmm. I don't want to. Now I'm going to forget somebody. Blades Steel. I almost have to look at my list here. But regardless, I don't want to forget anyone. I'll look at it in just a second. But it was really cool for them to see all of that, right? And then they got a better idea. And I said, hey, we might have 100 of these show up. And they're like, 100? There's no way there's going to be 100 of these, because they're like, it's a 1965 Imperial. It's a tank, And obviously there's not going to be 100 Imperials, but I mean, there's going to be maybe there's 60. It doesn't matter. There's might be 60 well-built cars, but they were amazed.
Right. I mean, we sat back a couple times, Brian and I, Josh and I, we've often kicked back and sort of had the discussion about how much money is actually sitting on the grounds today. When you look at the cars, you look at the shells, you look at the built engines and the rear ends and the spindles, just how much money would be sitting there based in tires. And while it flies under the radar as far below the radar as Demolition Derby is, when you put it up against other nationally recognized spectator sports like the NFL, the NBA, NASCAR, or even the Lucas Oil Off-Road Truck Series, Monster Energy, Arena Cross, and stuff like that, there's still so much money that passes across the table in this sport, and the fans I still believe the fans are as rabid and insatiable in terms of looking at the bell curve. Put them up against NFL fans any day, and I think a Demolition Derby fan can hold their own in terms of how they cannot get enough. Our season starts the middle of January and it ends the second week of December. Not necessarily one promoter, but across the board. And it's like that. It's been like that now for several years. You know, you look at January, kind of thinking of the Wicked Team Show, and then there's multiple shows in February. Minnesota, they're running outside in February, and right at the same weekend, they're getting 60-some cars for a team show down in Florida. And it goes that way all summer long, from the regional level all the way up to the national level, which pairs pretty well with what NHRA does. You've got all the local tracks that run under the NHRA or IHRA sanctions, and then they have the regional events within, or the divisional events, depending on which sanctioning body you're looking at, up to the national events, which have huge turnouts. So I mean, there's certainly some parallels to be drawn there, and reason to draw the eye, and it's kind of good to know that the eye as it was drawn from Jegs, while they had the peripheral knowledge, they knew that Demolition Derby existed, it still took somebody from the middle of it, from the throes of it, from the depths of it, to bring the car, to put it in there and put it right next to an NHRA Pro Stock car or a drag racer or a hot rod that was purpose built, just like the car is purpose built. Put it next to them and say, see, this is an engineering marvel that is happening all over the place. It's not the redneck baloney that you hear about at the county fairs, and it's happening. Those eyes are opened, and I am so happy for you guys, and just so excited for where this could potentially go, because where one door opens, others do follow.
Yeah, I think you talked about the vacuum. I think there's certainly going to be a vacuum. This is just the first stone of many, and I think that will be that'll be neat. We I don't know where this. I mean, I got an idea where it's going to go, but we're not going to let anything. We're not going to let everything out tonight. Like I told you before, but there's a lot of big plans involved, and it really, I'm just calling on everyone to listen, and I'll listen. I want to hear what everyone else has to say. I'm going to be at the Smith Metalworks Expo this coming weekend. I want to hear what everyone else has to say. This never had to be just Triple D. It never was intended to be that. I just felt like, as a competitor, when I started this, I wanted to be the best, and I felt like the sport wasn't quite there in order to crown the best. So I felt like let's see if we can pull it off. Sure. And I'd be lying if I said this was all put in place when I started Triple D. It wasn't. It certainly came along the way, but a lot of the pieces had to be put in place in order to get here.
Right. What did you tell them when they said, "Who's your champion"? What did you tell them?
Said there isn't one.
Right.
That's the problem. That's why we have the King of Ohio. And just in Ohio, there's X amount of big names, I would say, but there's so many talented guys that you run in, and I ran against at the county fairs, that I'm telling you, these guys will give anyone a run for their money any day of the week, as long as it's not 7-on-1.
Sure.
And unfortunately, most places that you go these days, that's what it is. It's a 7-on-1 deal, or a 7-on-3 deal, and we had to get away from that. Aaron Rodgers and NFL and Tom Brady, they have to play each other. Like, there's no option. There's not like Tom Brady just gets a pass on the NFC Championship this past year. No, he has to go play, Aaron Rodgers. And we don't have that in Derby. Mm-hmm. And that's a simple reason why we created the format. The best of the best must run against each other, and they're not going to run against each other in in handicapped cars, when one of them's got a broken tie rod and this and that. It's going to be right off the rip. If you're the best of the best that night, and you move on, and everything's earned on the track, and the response has been tremendous.
What I I'm thinking back to all the drivers that back when I was traveling around New York doing the DVDs with Smashed Empire Films. How many drivers I saw that always had the same response: I just can't afford to go travel. I can't hold my own against them. I don't have the parts. I don't have this. There's all these reasons. And what I would always come back and tell them with is, you can always find a reason to not go. But if you were finding reasons to not go, you were beaten before you ever left the garage. And I firmly believe, like you said, in Ohio, and there's this conversation can happen in Nebraska, and it can happen in Wisconsin, and it can happen in Michigan, and all across the country. California, there are people having the same conversations in the pits about bringing their cars east to Utah or going to Vegas, or the conversations up in Washington, or these guys that are out there that are just talking themselves out of treading into the deeper water because you can watch them drive absolute circles around everybody. And I get the whole big fish in a little pond argument. I can get it. But when you start measuring some of these drivers and some of these undiscovered talents that are at these county fairs, I would love to see, just start doing some of the, if I can take one of TJ McCulloch's terms, doing some from pro wrestling, just doing some dream booking of what a feature field could look like. When you start pulling some of these drivers that never had the chance, and what it would be like to see some of these guys locking horns, and it would just be so cool. And your structure with the King of Ohio is getting closer and closer to making that happen. We had something like that in New York with the state championship that used to be crowned at Syracuse. It took all the county fair winners and dumped them in one melting pot at Syracuse, but yet that day you could still qualify in through preliminary heats leading up to that. It was a little convoluted. It took all year, but everybody at the end of it knew the person that won that derby was the state champion. They also lost their car, so to second and third place. But that's an argument for another time when Brian's here.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned all the reasons that you don't run. When we were coming up with a name for our event, we said, when we came to the King of Ohio, we thought that's the reason why you will run.
Mm-hmm.
And because you want to be crowned the King of Ohio. And I can tell you that the biggest names in Ohio, that exist in Ohio, have qualified, and now it's up to them. I mean, you got this sponsor that's jumping on board, Jegs. They've qualified. It's up to them to build the car and come compete and put it all on the line. And there's really not anything else that we can do. I mean, it really comes down to the drivers, and if they're going to support you, and if they're going to back an organization trying to organize the sport. I mean, simple as that. It's in their hands.
Appreciate the stars, Jay Arnold. I mean, I'm trying to keep up with everything in the live chat as well. As cost of a derby car is pushing past a lot of circle track dirt cars, says John Hart. I don't disagree. The cost has gone up for a lot of it. If you're looking at the old iron stuff, the county fair and some of the regional stuff that we've got going on, I don't know if I completely agree with that, because the big aftermarket parts out here on the East Coast haven't come into the county fair level. You can have a lot of you can have Vito's in there. Good to see Vito. Vito's another one of the guys, and Alex Sager that was involved with that stuff that was happening over the weekend. Again, thanks so much. Warren Driscoll is listening while he's out trout fishing, so that's cool. But the cost is one thing, sure. Jay Arnold saying that Derby fans are definitely as dedicated or more than NFL and NBA, which we hit on. Greg Estes saying that Derby fans are more dedicated for sure. Brian Tompkins, he's on his lunch break. He says congratulations, and he's just as dumbfounded as I am. I'm just elated. I like there's a couple things if you've been involved with some of these sponsorship talks and these deals in racing, there's event sponsorships and there's partnerships, and the word was picked for a reason, which I think is really cool. And you start picking that descriptor and putting it side by side with the awareness and authenticity, the sky's the limit. I mean, what at this point is the goal?
There's only one goal, and that is to create a nationally recognized sport that crowns a national champion. That's it. That's the one goal.
That's it.
Always been the goal, and from the beginning, and we're not going to stop until we can accomplish that. And obviously, we've got one piece of that puzzle with Jags. We've got a second piece with Triple D, and now we need all the other pieces to come together. And that's you guys, Chris. That's people from other states, promoters, parts vendors. All those pieces have to come together for that to happen. I've heard for so long, I've wanted this for so long for the Derby world. I think a lot of people have that we just want recognition and all to recognize the talents and all that, right? Well, I mean, it's here, and it's just time for everybody to come to the table and say, hey, let's make it happen. And I'll be the first to lend a hand.
What do you need from us?
This right here.
Yeah.
This,
all right.
Your guys' platform. I think it's awesome that you're having me on to reach the audience that you're reaching. I mean, you don't just want to reach just a couple thousand people in Ohio, 5,000 people in Ohio. You want to reach the New York guys so they travel and maybe we connect and hook up with some promoters over there. You want to reach the PA guys. Mm-hmm. You want to reach the Kentucky guys, the Tennessee, Indiana, Michigan, Illinois. Everybody has to be involved.
I answered Brian's question in chat, and it has sparked a deluge of congratulations posts directed towards you guys at Triple D. Tony Godwin just messaged in, and with Brian popping in, it reminded me of Jack Johnson. Jack Johnson was a modified racer. He started in the 60s, and I think he ran for probably 5 years before he got his first win at Fonda Speedway, and he just passed away. And in the mid-'70s, they started having the championship race during October, which eventually evolved into Super Dirt Week. And they didn't have platforms like this. It was all print advertising, Gator Racing News, Aerial Auto Racing News. They didn't have the internet. They didn't have websites or even necessarily regular television coverage for that matter. But it always managed to draw the best of the best in terms of dirt modified racing to the Syracuse Mile. And if you could win at the mile, you did something. And it wasn't until, I can't remember if it was 79, might have been 79, where Jack Johnson was the first New Yorker to win that race. And I'm just thinking about the history and the legacy and how big of a deal the people of the Empire State felt when finally one of their drivers won that race because it was such a big deal. And you guys are, I mean, this had to be something of what, you talk about hindsight being 20/20 and learning from history. This had to be kind of along the lines of when that started back then, what it could turn into. And I just hope that someday one of the drivers that we know that's been close to the show, that's been close to Triple D, that's been doing this, gets to have that kind of moment and gets recognized that way in terms of celebrating as a national champion or something. It would just be so cool to be able to say that they had that moment as well.
Yeah, and that gave me chills just you saying that because I know how much, like as a driver, I would want to experience that, and the fact that I won't be able to experience that, but somebody else will, and somebody else will be able to experience that year after year, hopefully. And you touched on something. There's a lot of congratulations coming in for us. Well, this is not I don't want to take this as a congratulations to Triple D. This is a congratulations to all of the hard work that everyone has ever put into Demolition Derby, because we wouldn't be here where we are today from people, with the parts, from all the promoters that have put in years and years of sacrifice. I mean, heck, what episode are we on right now, Chris?
This is 349. If we had gone on last week, then we would have been announcing this in episode number 350.
Yeah, so 349 episodes. I mean, all the time that you guys have put in, all the time everyone's taken away from their family, building in the garage. that is who the congratulations should go to, because that is the sole reason why we even pursued trying to do this.
Yeah, I do want to make sure that everybody understands that this is not just a victory for Triple D. Dustin has made that clear a number of times, and I was trying to set up just a joke about going to college and going from the small workings of county fairs and regional shows, and then all of a sudden you're thrust into corporate board meetings with Jegs. No, in no way has Dustin ever put out there that this is some sort of swashbuckling, this is the way things are going to be done from now on at all. This has been positioned in the last, 40 minutes since I've known that this was actually what we were going to be talking about. This has been positioned all along as a victory for Demolition Derby and a validation of so much work that has gone into it to get up to this point where we had the Bud Blowout stands out in my mind. I think Budweiser got behind that show in Missouri a couple times. And there's been a bunch of these other shows that, they knocked on the door. Napa got behind Winter Slam, but it was always the 5-star group. It wasn't Napa at the full-blown corporate level. And we've been knocking on the door for so long, and helps legitimize a lot of people putting in a lot of time and effort. And at this point, man, the sky's the limit. I know I said it before, but it's just really,
shirts.
Really exciting.
The shirts, they have Jegs on them. This is the new King of Ohio shirts that will be given out this year. We owe a couple people these already, as there was one show, but we couldn't put the shirts out there yet until the announcement, so we couldn't give them their shirts. But just allowing Jegs on a T-shirt that everybody's going to wear and everybody's going to be proud to wear is unreal.
The apparel's available on the site as well, right?
Yeah, so we got a full line of Jegs and Triple D branded apparel / King of Ohio. We will be putting hats on there later this week that are Jegs embroidered hats with Triple D stuff on there. And then also some sweatshirts. I know we're getting in the summer here, but we will have a couple sweatshirts on there. So everything's going to be labeled Triple D. You can go to our website at Triple D Entertainment LLC. We've also launched a completely new website. We've been building that for the past couple months. I got to give a shout out to my guy Scott Burmeister, and he's been killing it on the back of the website. The back end of that, building that. So we've launched that. You got to go to it. It is, again, it's Triple D Entertainment LLC, and you can find everything you need from there. King of Ohio tickets will go on sale the 16th. So not this Friday, but the following Friday. And you can get your tickets on the Triple D Entertainment website, or follow our Facebook page, and you can get links to that on there too.
If you scroll down a little bit on the Triple D Entertainment Facebook page, you can see the 2022 King of Ohio shirts are in. The King of Ohio logo is on it, and so is the Jegs logo, but it's covered up by a piece of duct tape. Just to preserve the announcement. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, we've been. I don't know if we've actually posted a couple hints, and that this deal was happening. One was I posted the raffle car in front of the Jegs trailer. And only a couple people caught on to that. I didn't think a lot of people would catch on to it, so I just posted it a couple weeks ago. And a couple people caught on to that, and then I posted the King of Ohio shirts being yellow, because obviously our traditional colors are red and black.
Right.
And white. And a couple people caught on to that, and then obviously people were like, what the heck is the duct tape for? It was just an obvious... And then we had Jegs like our Instagram page today. We posted a picture of that earlier today.
Yep.
and just like had the eyeballs, going at the like and the share. So we thrown some hints out there. Some people have caught on, and some people have said there's no way this is possible. Well, it is. It's here.
And here it is. So, Triple D announcing the partnership with Jegs, and good sign of things to come. I'm exceptionally happy for you and for the sport today. This is a big day, and appreciate the work that you guys put into.
We can all look back on this and see that, wow, this was the day we all came together.
The video that we talked about is going to be on the Facebook page and the website as well?
Correct. Yep.
Okay. All right. I got the link to the Facebook page in there. It's in the chats and in the comments for all the people watching on YouTube. It's also in the comments for the people that have been interacting on Facebook. Frankie Guy in there saying big congratulations are in order. So it's just a big day, man. I appreciate you coming on and talking with us here. How's everything else been going? The build for the raffle car. You got your 65 Imperial all stripped out. That's going to be given away. How's everything going with everything else? Because you still got the whole series to get ready for this year.
Yeah, it's been really crazy. There is so much back end work that has been put together here, with building the back end of the website, to securing the JEGS deal, to getting the apparel stuff done, to building the raffle car, that after this announcement today, all that stuff's done, and now for the next 3 months we get to focus on the show, and we have all kinds of goodies prepared for the show, in which the drivers and the appreciation, the victory lane, all that stuff. The trophies are on their way to getting done. So, it's been a wild ride. I think it's going to continue to be that. I talked to my wife. I said, I think this is, we just got to hang on for the next year and just enjoy the ride.
Absolutely. Well, is there anything else that we wanted to hit on? Anything else that we might have missed?
Looking at my list here. No, I mean, I think we've covered everything. I can't wait to see, who we crown King of Ohio and who earns that title come July 4th weekend. This event is truly the best of the best in the state of Ohio and beyond. You just had to run a show in Ohio to qualify.
Right.
As almost everyone that qualified to this show is a winner of a county fair in 2020 or 2019. This lineup is going to be insane. I mean, it is going to be like must-see TV. So we're super, super excited for that. And then, last thing, check out the website at Triple D Entertainment LLC and get yourself some apparel. You can order that directly on the website, and like and share our page. If we would like to get this video out there across the nation, this is about you guys. So thank you.
Well, absolutely, man. We do greatly appreciate you coming on the show and sharing the good news. We wish you the best. I know it bears repeating that the door is always open. If you got anything else that you wanted to share, the platform is certainly yours to leverage whichever way you need. We're happy to help anybody.
No, I mean, I want to thank my team. There's a lot of people that put a lot of work in the back end, my wife including, Pat Browder, Mitch Miracle, Jeff Hobbs, Scott Burmeister. Those are kind of the back end people that make everything work. And we've been bouncing these ideas off for a long time. So this has been a long time in the making, and I want to give those guys credit.
Awesome, man. Well, congratulations again. We certainly appreciate you coming on, and everybody can stop down and catch up with Triple D and Dustin down at the expo at SMW coming up here this weekend. We'll get you some more information on that in just a minute. Dustin, man, you're welcome to hang out for the ad spots that we're going to rip through if you want. But we're going to be wrapping up here. So if you got other stuff that you got to go get to with as busy as tonight is going to become with all these announcements, I understand.
Yeah, my phone's blowing up.
I trust it is.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate you coming on. Go stay busy, I guess.
All right, man. Thank you very much for the time.
You bet. We'll get you soon.
Right.
Bye now. There goes Dustin Woods. Awesome news all the way around. Very happy with those guys. It's been a good couple days for Demolition Derby as a whole. I want to take a minute and tell you a little bit more about some of the folks some of the stuff that's going to be coming up, more of the good stuff that's coming up in Demolition Derby. Bash for Cash 2021. It's coming up in about 2 months from where we're at right now. that out of the way. Ross County Fairgrounds in Chillicothe, Ohio. Friday the 28th of May, compact heats, 2,000 to win youth class, mini trucks, 10,000 to win street stocks, and full size on Friday. Saturday the 29th, 3 o'clock start for the Power Wheels, the compact consi, the pro stocks, the kicker cars, the relic cars, and the Frank the Tank class. Sunday the 30th at 11 o'clock, the pro stock, kicker, and turn back the clock constellations roll off, and then at 1 o'clock is the youth full size presented by Smith Metalworks. Modified cars, 80s wire heats, and the super stocks, 415 is all the remaining features. Make sure you jump online, check it out. May 28th through the 30th, 2021, online, smashitderby.com. Smash It also has their own dedicated YouTube page now. They've been uploading past iterations of the Bash for Cash on the YouTube page, so you can jump online and check that stuff out. It's pretty wild. Pretty wild front to back. Here's some of the payout information. Kicker class, 10,000 to win. Turn back the clock class, 10,000 to win. Compacts, 10,000 to win. Pro stocks, 10,000 to win as well. Also, these are all 2,000 to win. Frank the Tank, old school wire class, the youth small car division, street stocks, the relic class, which is 1963 and older. There's 3 one and done 80s wire flights, super stocks, full size trucks, and the compact trucks, all part of the program out there. Smash It Demolition Derbies is also going to be overseeing the following weekend Street Stock Madness at the Fayette County Fairgrounds in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. June the 5th, the gates open at noon and the derbies at 6. June the 6th, the gates open at noon and the derbies at 3. 4-man teams, 20 teams total, 6,000, 3,000, 1,600 back through the top 3. The pro stocks, 4,000, 2,000, 1,000, 40 entries allowed in that one. Full-size street stock, compact street stock, minivan, mini SUV, and mini trucks. 30 entries per class for the support divisions, 1,000 to win each way for them. No Mercy's right around the corner. We said his name once, but we don't say it 3 times. Otherwise, sometimes he shows up. TJ McCulloch and Deadman Derby. That was a Beetlejuice reference for those of you that are following along at home. No Mercy is scheduled for April 23rd and 24th, 2021. 3-man compact heats open the card on Friday. 80s pro stock heats and the half-ton trucks are also going to be on the card Friday night. Saturday is going to start with the last chance events. Youth compact division is 800 to win. The Imperials paying 2,000 to win. Minivan, mini truck, and SUVs paying 1,200 to win. Full-size team one and done. The Deadman compact 70s and 80s pro stocks, that's 8,000 to win. 3-man team compacts, they're paying 6,000 to win, and then the full-size mercenaries, that's a one and done, paying 3,000 to win. You can get additional details online, deadmanderby.com. The tickets for Buried Alive, the entries opened up and they flew off the shelf. We'll be catching up with TJ a little bit more as things get closer for that one. But TJ, pretty happy guy right now. Unified Point Series, things are going to be gearing up here. This is we're heading into the last quote-unquote off weekend for the ME527 Unified Series online, 527unifiedseries.com. Wicked's Redneck Rumble was the starter, and we've had a long layoff now until we got to Toast Granite City event up in Sauk Rapids, Minnesota, April the 17th, and then it is straight on till morning. April 24th and 25th is Derby Icon Spring Explosion in Portland, Indiana. The 30th of April and May 1st is Wicked's Urban Destruction in Evansville. The 7th and 8th, we're back with Toast with River City Rampage in Henry, Illinois. May the 15th is Hardcore's May Meltdown. The 28th and 30th is Smash It. June 5th and 6th, Smash It again. That's Bash for Cash and then Street Stock Madness back-to-back. By the way, Smash It has their fair schedule posted as well on the page. June the 12th is Hardcore's Destruction on the Knob, and then Toast Bartholomew County Fair. June the 25th, 26th is Rouse Promotions Wayne County Fair. That's only like half the schedule too. They've got like 35 dates on the schedule this year. Going to be pretty busy. Okay, just making sure I didn't lose track of anything here. Smith Metalworks, Hardcore Tour. All right, we got everything covered. Some additional scheduling information was released by Impact Motorsports over the weekend as well. They had a couple cool things coming up. Somebody shared a picture of Rick Clark from 2006 after he won at Simcoe, which was kind of cool. It's good to see that with a 7-foot trophy from that up over the border. Let's see. I'm stalling while I find the right graphics here. There we go. Jeffy's Fab Farm, recognized as an industry leader in all manner of purpose-built demolition derby parts, starting with rear ends in 06. Jeffy's Fab Farm expanded to headers in 08, and the shop can boast a combined 70-plus years of mechanical skills. Jeffy's Fab Farm specializes in LS conversions and conversion components with consistent feature wins across North America. Your turnkey solution is only a phone call away. The Fab Farm released the Camry in a Box campaign. That sets you up for success with a retail price of $525, and you need to ask about the multi-fit shifter options. You'll also find fuel and air parts, suspension and transmission items, steering components, pedals, switches, gauges, you name it, it's on there. Go online. If you need it, you can find it on the farm online, jeffhughesfabfarm.com. Check out the virtual store and go order now. The Hardcore Tour, Frankie Guy, he's tuning in. He's probably Greg Estes saying it's way past time to be nationally recognized. It's such a twist there to say nationally recognized, because within the industry, Demolition Derby, we recognize people across the country all the time, and we have nationally recognized events. And now it has just had that next step where the sponsors and the vendors are starting to get that traction too and get that notice. It's very much a cool thing. Greg, and I'll get to your stuff here in just a minute too. Hardcore Tour, stay up to date online with Frankie Guy's Hardcore Tour, hardcorederbypromotions.com. May Meltdown is in Stoneboro on the 15th. June 12th is Destruction on the Knob in Markleysburg. Mayhem on the Mountain is in Farmington on the 26th of June. July's a busy month. Destruction on the Knob on the 10th. King of the Hill at Jacktown Fair on the 24th and the 29th. August 3rd and August 6th is all part of Destruction in Dunbar. Chaos in Cole County is the Greene County Fair in Waynesburg, August the 13th. The 14th and the 20th is Washington War Zone. The 4th and 5th is Labor Day Lockdown in Stoneboro. The 7th and 8th is the Route 40 Rumble. And all of this drives towards the 2021 Hardcore Championship, the 24th and 26th. $10,000 to win Final Confrontation in Dunbar, and it's a $3,000 to win Mad Dog Award. Pretty awesome there. And all of the promoters that we just talked about, along with Dustin and Triple D, along with Alex Vasco, who's checking in, along with Lee Sager and Jesse Myers from the Realistic Derby Project, everybody is heading down to Smith Metalworks and Mercer coming up this weekend. Setup day is the 9th. The expo runs on the 10th in a single day. Seminars are going to be hosted by Rear End and Seminars are going to be held all through the day. Our Rear End and Transmission Talk is going to be hosted by Jeffy's Fab Farm. Throttle and Carburetor Performance Discussion is going to be hosted by Jason Koch. Winning Engines Discussion going to be hosted by Brent Johnson of Redline. Watts Link Installation Conversation going to happen with Toast Inc. and more. A full vendors list is available online at smithmetalworks.info. Various promotions are going to be ahead, like we said: Smash It, Iron City, Hardcore Toast, Spinning Wheels, Stern Dirt, Kings of Old School, Deadman, Derby Dog. Doors are open from 9 to 6. All the travel information that you need is on there as well. smithmetalworks.info. Experience and passion, second to none. I saw that Bobby Brockway is going to be making his way down for that as well. Bobby Brockway going to be making the trip because he's going to be traveling with Trek Shot. So that's pretty cool. I'm going to have a chance to catch up with Bobby. Bobby is quite the character to get to know. It's going to be good to see, good for everybody to get a chance to meet him if you haven't done so yet. And then our final order of business here that we promised this gentleman that we would get to. There is a fundraising derby. Greg Estes doing a fundraising derby, Owen County Search and Rescue. Owen County, Kentucky, competitive stock, $5,000 to win, September 11th. Mad Dog is up to $1,300. Second pay is $1,500. It can be found on the Facebook page. Greg Estes is overseeing that, and it's paying sixth place is back. Highest front bumper of the night will get $500. And there's other giveaways and stuff that are happening through the course of the weekend there for Greg Estes. Appreciate the fact that you're trying to do a fundraiser there for some of the local search and rescue programs out there in Owen County in Kentucky. Well, folks, I think that's going to do it for us. We covered a lot of ground here tonight. We made mention of everything. Make sure you get out there, have a great time at the Smith Metalworks event. Get down there, say hi, let them know that you heard about them on the crash course. Jeff Hughes Fab Farm, Smith Metalworks, Smash It Demolition Derby, Frankie Guy and Hardcore, all helping make sure that the Crash Course Nationals, that continues on its path. The Crash Course Nationals is the video game derby that we're going to be hosting online in June. Yes, I'm talking about the video game stuff again. Yes, it's Realistic Derby Project, and yes, it's way cheaper to do that, to get people to build cars and get people get insurance to host it. So that's one of the reasons why we continue to go that route versus trying to horse around with in-person inspections and insurance on fairgrounds and stuff like that. If it's your thing, I hope you enjoy it. If it's not, give it a shot, because you never know. There's all sorts of stuff at Demolition Derby that I never thought that we would be doing and talking about, but we have had people on the show to talk about model cars that they fashioned out of pie tins and baking pans. We've had people on the show to talk about model cars. After winning the competition and the voting at the Bash for Cash, Ed Brewster and a bunch of different opportunities that we've had talking about RC Derby and JMW Motorsports, and we brought RC Derby to Blizzard Bash. All the different walks of life within Demolition Derby as a whole, from the weld cars all the way down to the bone stock compacts and lawnmowers. I was just talking to Cody Stotts before we went on the air, and how he messed up his back because he was driving basically a 1-ton lawnmower and an outlaw mower derby and messed up his back at some point. So I mean, there's so much stuff to offer in Demolition Derby, and now here we are with Jag's High Performance taking notice of what's going on, and I really hope that creates a vacuum that, hey, if Jegs can do it, we want to be a part of it too, and we get a whole bunch of these sponsors coming on board. That's going to cover it for us tonight, and just to finalize things real quick, once again, at risk of saying something wrong, my heart is very full, and I thank everybody from this weekend. It means a lot, and it's going to go a long way. That's going to do it for us here tonight. We're signing off on number 349. We'll see you back here next week for 350. Be well.
The Crash Course Live is presented by Smash It Demolition Derby, who host Bash for Cash, Blizzard Bash, and Capital City Carnage. Online at smashitderby.com. And Stirring Dirt Racing, host of May Mania's team show at the Golden Spike Arena in Ogden, Utah. Online at stirringdirtracing.com. Reckless Abandon Derby Apparel, and Derby Inc. Magazine. This is the Crash Course Demolition Derby podcast, recorded live at the FingerLakes1.com studios in downtown Seneca Falls, New York.